American investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe introduced in a report the incident of soldiers encountering unidentified aquatic humanoids. As mentioned in her report, in 1968, soldiers stationed at the Presidio military post of San Francisco encountered an intruder, presumed to have come from the sea. On the day of the incident, Staff Sergeant David was patrolling the Fort Baker area at around 1 a.m. He was driving along the coastal road. Upon noticing signs of someone lurking in the darkness, he slowed down. As he grew closer, the intruder's appearance became more noticeable, and he was immediately on alert. However, unlike what he thought, it was no human intruder. When I applied the brakes, it lit that thing up, and it was a humanoid form, and it came out of the water and it stood on the road. And when I put the brakes on, I could see it clearly. It looked very strong and healthy because it was tall. I would guess that it was about 9 feet. I could look at it, and it looked like some kind of a lizard skin or something like that, but it was a little smoother than that. The color of it was kind of a greenish-brown, dark greenish-brown. The only way I can describe it is if you saw the movie The Creature from the Black Lagoon. It was very, very close to that. Staff Sergeant David confronted the mysterious creature at a distance of approximately 3 meters. As he was about to calmly carry out measures according to the intruder encounter manual, it suddenly left. He expected the creature to run towards the sea 6 meters away, but then it climbed up a coastal cliff before slowly disappearing into the darkness. Staff Sergeant David could only stare blankly at the surreal sight before him. Shortly after receiving his report, his team conducted an on-site search, but unfortunately found nothing. 1 year later, in 1969, the U.S. Navy at the Caribbean island of Antigua incident is surprisingly very similar to the aforementioned one. It was investigated and introduced by Scott Corrales, a reporter for the popular Latin American journal site Inexplicata. The article describes how Navy sailors who were beach fishing near the military borders encountered a weird creature. According to the soldier's testimony, he had taken some friends to Mamora Bay, a body of water located in the southwestern shores of the island, for some nocturnal fishing. As the sun went down, the soldiers became aware of a group of locals on the beach some distance away, who had lit a bonfire on the sand and stood around it forming a circle. The Americans soon realized that what they took at first to be a friendly gathering was in fact a religious ceremony. The islanders sacrificed a chicken and poured its blood into a wooden bowl, held in the hands of the celebrant, who moved away from the circle to kneel on the sand facing the water. The weird ritual continued until nightfall. The very moment the Navy sailors began discussing how to handle the situation, the following happened. We suddenly saw someone come out of the water. We were speechless. It wasn't a skin diver. It was a person, but a lot taller. Standing over 6 feet tall, he walked slowly and surely toward the men in the circle. The celebrant rose to his feet and walked to the creature with the bowl of blood. He took it, raised it to its mouth, and drank the vital fluid. It had a tapered head and webbed feet. After returning the wooden bowl to the human, it turned around and retraced its steps back into the water. The existence of this person was definitely not human. We panicked, left our fishing gear behind, and ran away. We went back the next day, but there was no one there. There was no evidence of the previous evening's events beyond the remnants of the bonfire. The mysterious creature described by the Navy sailors is extremely similar to the one encountered in the Fort Baker area. Both are much taller than the average person, with reptile-like skin as well as webbed hands and feet. What in the world happened on the beach that night? These aquatic humanoid sightings happened not only in the US but in Russia as well. There have been reports of similar mysterious creatures seen in places, namely seas and lakes. The most famous one is the 1982 Lake Baikal incident, which resulted in casualties from underwater combat. 25-million-year-old Lake Baikal is the Earth's oldest and deepest lake that has ever existed. It is also a place where mysterious phenomena are often reported to have occurred, such as ice circles forming the shape of a UFO on top of the frozen lake, and sightings of rare creatures that cannot be seen anywhere else on Earth. Thanks to its special environment, Lake Baikal has often been used as a diving and underwater reconnaissance training place for Navy sailors. At the time of the incident, Mark Steinberg and Lieutenant Colonel Gennady Zverev were conducting periodic training for reconnaissance divers at Lake Baikal. It happened on the day when Major General V. Demyanko, the commander of the USSR Military Diver Service of the Engineer Forces, paid a visit to the officers. In a situation where not a single mistake is tolerated, an unbelievable report was given. At the depth of 50 meters, we encountered a group of mysterious underwater swimmers almost 3 meters in height. The swimmers were clad in tight-fitting silvery suits. They were wearing no equipment or scuba diving apparatus of any kind, only sphere-like helmets concealing their heads. Having been informed about the unidentified creatures existing under the lake, the two officers decided to try to capture one of the swimmers. A special group of 7 divers were dispatched to capture one. However, These aquatic humanoids' counterattack was beyond what they could believe. The underwater combat ended in a landslide victory for the mysterious creatures, in which 3 divers were killed and 4 were severely injured. This incident is recorded in several books and reporter articles. One of them is Russia's USO Secrets, Unidentified Submersible Objects in Russian and International Waters. According to the book, the USSR Ministry of Defense had used this incident to supplement their Navy sailors' diving and reconnaissance personnel, thus expanding their training extensively. At the same time, they continued to investigate these aquatic humanoids and unidentified submersible objects encountered in seas, rivers, and lakes. There is a systematized secret army under the deep sea. They are planning a war against us. This argument was further strengthened by the constant reports of related sightings from military and private institutions. Russia's former admiral and nuclear submarine commander Yuri Beketov revealed that he had encountered USOs as well. We repeatedly observed that the instruments detected the movements of material objects at unimaginable speed, around 230 knots. It is hard to reach that speed on the surface. Only in the air is it readily possible. The beings that created those material objects significantly exceed us in development. Moreover, there is actual data to estimate the levels of this technology that exceeds humanity. On July 15, 2019, a 46-second video taken at the Premier Combat Center in Omaha, off the coast of San Diego, USA, showed a flying object zooming at high speed from side to side above the horizon, before slowly diving into the sea. Simply put, a UFO transformed into a USO instantaneously. This leads us to question, are these two the same object after all? Who is in it and what is their purpose? Regarding this, Russian Navy intelligence expert and Captain Igor Barclay explained, USOs are most often spotted in deep water near where military forces are concentrated, off the Bahamas, Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and the east coast of the United States. What does this have to do with anything? Of course, USO-related investigations are top-secret matters, highly regulated by government institutions. There is little to no revealed information so far, and it is far too early for us to judge whether such things actually exist or not. However, we can infer aspects about them, such as their purpose and nature, through a variety of data. The incident that occurred in the Black Sea in 1996 and involves a fisherman named B. Borivikov suggests plenty of possibilities. I was 8 meters deep when I had a strange encounter with a mermaid-type creature. I saw giant beings rising up from below. They were milky white but with humanoid faces and something like fishtails. The being ahead of its companions noticed me and stopped. It had giant bulging eyes, as if in some vague glasses. The other 2 joined it. The first one waved her hand. It was definitely a hand with membranes towards me. All of them approached me and stopped at a short distance. Then, they turned around and swam away. Looks like a human at first glance, but not human. Sightings of aquatic humanoids have been reported all over the world. If they had the ability to think and communicate with other species like humans do, it would not be impossible to form an army and prepare for war against humans, just like Russia stated. Who knows? Maybe they are just waiting for the opportunity to do so, and not in dark, deep waters, but somewhere closer than we expect. This has been Strange Night.